growing podcast in the history of the known universe. And want to welcome everybody in, no matter how you're listening, whether it's on Twitch or Facebook or X, as we like to call it now. Actually, I don't like to call it that, but that's what it is. Or if you're just going to wait and hear it later on Spotify or Apple, happy to have you in. Nothing but appreciation and love for all of the people who listen to the show. Chucky D in the house, welcome in. We got a great show planned for you. Want to thank everybody who has, helped out with the podcast. Been an interesting couple of weeks, but things are looking up, and we got a lot of cool stuff planned for you. Today's guest will be my old buddy Jermaine Every, and we are going to have a lot of fun with him. It's been a while, and in fact, it's been too long since Jermaine and I had drinks, by the way. And I know you're sitting there in the studio waiting to get in, and it's kind of your time, pal. And I got some Eagle Rare, and you know where I live. So, but anyway, we'll have him on in just a second. Just want to tell you before we start, ordinarily we're at Midtown Bar and Grill on Mondays. Today I'm at home. I had a bunch of other work, and it was just pushing me right up to showtime. So we will not be at Midtown Bar and Grill today. But if you get a chance, swing by. It's a great place. 415 West Gray. And say hello to Tommy. And, he'll miss me because everybody over there does. Just a great bunch of people and a great place to go. And said, I feel bad for your Lions, man. And we'll get to this when I bring Jermaine on here in a second. I was rooting for you. I no hatred for the 49ers. I don't have, I love some of their players, but I really wanted to see the Lions get there, and they had their chances, and we'll talk about that. Welcome in, Raj. Raj, the superstar poker player, is here as well. So thank all you guys for joining us. B. Hannon's in the house. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Mine was pretty damn quiet. I've been spending a lot more time at home watching sport, but I did get out for a little bit yesterday to watch the first half of the second game at PJ's, and won one of the pots there. Finally, we do a shotgun where you put in $10 and the winner gets 100. Of course, I spent most of it on buying drinks for everybody because Freddie wins, everybody wins. All right. Speaking of winners, been a while since we've had this guy on. Been a while since I've seen him. I'm starting to think he doesn't love me anymore. I call him Skinny Marcus Spears. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jermaine Every. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? Man, the funniest thing about you calling me Skinny Marcus Spears, my cousin who just passed away like a few months ago, he was the first one to ever call me that a few years ago. And I didn't really see it. And then more and more people started seeing it. And I was just like, whatever, I'll just run with it.
Well, I didn't really call you Skinny Marcus Spears. I called him Fat Jermaine Every. So that's where it came
from. That's even better. Even better.
So what the hell's going on in your life, man? Catch me up before we get to the football.
Whew. Kids are crazy. I love them to death, but they're driving me nuts. The job is crazy, driving me nuts. Just life be lifing. That's about all I can do. Life be lifing.
Well, all right, but we got to get your life be lifing to be a little more fun. Like, I can't remember the last time we just sit and watched a game somewhere and got totally trashed in the afternoon. And then came over here and drank good whiskey and got even dranker, as it were. And it's been too long, man. I put this on you. You get all responsible on me.
Yeah, that is totally on me. I'm not even gonna lie, it's all on me. But it's just funny, man, because like I'll want to do stuff and plan on doing stuff, and then I'm gonna do this, and then something happens. Something undoubtedly happens, or like just this past week, I got COVID again and had to deal with that. The only reason why I'm not wearing a mask and I'm in my office right now is because I'm in my office with my door closed. So, but like it's just been crazy.
You can't transmit over the podcast, can you? I'm just curious because you're like because
that's how it got started. Is from 5G.
So, you're a 5-star COVID general now. You had it at least 5 times. Yeah. You should have the little stars on there, like or little C's.
Yeah, the little 19s or C's or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2024. Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you this story. I can't remember if I told it on the podcast last week or not. But this, I have a friend who refers to me as the dumbest smart person she knows, and now I'm starting to think I'm not even a smart person. So I was looking up my benefits from the Chronicle because I knew I was getting close to being eligible to start getting my pension. And I look up and I get on the website and it's you will be eligible February 1st, 2024. And I'm like, God damn it, I gotta wait another year. Let me call them and see if there's an early penalty or something. And then the lady couldn't have been nicer. She goes, sir, you do understand it's 2024. You've got 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, yeah, dumbest smart person I know.
Small oversight, just a small oversight.
Yeah. Well, I'm old and I drink a lot too, so that comes into play. But yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how much it was either. It's like, yeah, you know what? I might be able to live off this and just, go buy me like a small RV and then just disappear, take care and just travel all over the U.S. and never hear from me again. But then, well, it's kind of like you the last few months. So
that would be cool.
Oh, so you're trying to get rid of me too?
No, I'm just saying that would be cool because like then I could try to plan like a vacation to where I'd be like, hey, where are you gonna be at? I'm gonna try to meet you there, and then we can just like drive up and down the what is that? The Pacific Coast Highway or some shit.
Yeah. So I'm looking at like
because I've never driven up and down it, and my sister lives out there now.
Well, see, but I'm gonna go places that you probably wouldn't like because they're white boy places. Like I want to go to Missoula, Montana.
Yeah.
That
sounds cold. It sounds like it's cold in July there.
Well, by the way, welcome in Flip, welcome in Joel, Pelly Rat. Always good to see Pelly. Hope you guys are really enjoying enjoying the show because I mean I've missed all you guys. And Pelly, I hope your poker's going well. I hope all you guys' poker's going well. So how's everything with the lady? You still dating her?
Working on some stuff. Kind of complicated right now.
Isn't it always?
Always.
Well, I've got one that I would just say is a friend right now that I really like, and she's out of town, so we'll see. But I mean, she's like, do you remember that movie Weird Science?
Oh yeah.
They accidentally create the perfect woman, and it's what's her face, Kelly LeBrock.
Yeah.
Like this one's a Kelly LeBrock, but I'm not worthy. It's how it is. Anyway,
but it's crazy because guys like us that are mildly unattractive always end up with baddies because we're smart and funny and kind of nerdy. They like that. I'm convinced they like that.
Well, when I'm not, failing to shave for 4 days, I still clean up pretty well. I still have those vaguely Arabic handsome looks. I may be old, but and plus it helps that I no longer weigh however many pounds it was I was weighing because my face actually looks presentable now. I don't look like I have that fat face because fat Arab face, not cool.
You do look like you've lost some more weight since the last time I saw you.
Well, that's because you haven't seen me in months because you avoid me. Breaking my heart here, man.
Man, I tell you what do I have? I'm trying to figure out when my cousin is coming in town. He was supposed to come last weekend, but I think he's coming this weekend. One of these weekends or something. We got to figure something out because it's been way too long. And I was just telling BC that last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was a time where you and me and BC and when Eric was in town, we'd all just like once a week, man, over in my old stomping grounds in East Downtown. I have to tell you, I have fully become a Montrose person. Well, not fully, but I've become a Montrose person now.
Really?
I love it down here. Yeah, I love it down here. And there's it's very eclectic, it's very different. But I've also decided that I'm no longer. Yeah, I stayed away from East Downtown because we kind of had a bar draft when we got divorced, and so because we hung out at the same places, right? But so what I did, because I'm a chicken shit, I took her favorite bar that she went to after work with her people that I hated with the first pick. And
Why?
so I could trade it for the bars I wanted. So guess what? I got the Canadian bar. I got the Maple Leaf in the deal.
What? That
Well,
okay? Now I see the vision. I see the
yeah,
vision.
yeah.
I
Come
see the
on, man.
vision.
It's the reason I always have great fantasy teams. So yeah, I got that out of the deal. And then she tried to get sneaky on me and take coaches, so I made her throw that back in. But
Oh,
so I kind of quit going over there because I just didn't want to run into her, right? And
uh,
a couple months ago, my friend TJ, he's like, "Oh, take me to some of your old stomping grounds over there." So first we went over to Kobo's and got to see Kobo for a bit and did our Fridays at Kobo's. You can ask BC about this. We just go sit at the bar. Kobo would bring us food that he was working on, and then his best tequila for shots, and we just get stupid. And then but the one I was really worried about was East End Hardware, and we went there for taco night, just because I was in the mood of, hey, I want tacos. And
yeah.
the owner told me, "Oh, I haven't seen your ex in forever." And I'm like, I mean, she lives a block and a half away. What the hell? And even the bartender's like, I wouldn't know her if I saw her. And I'm like, well, she looks evil, so that's all you need to worry about.
Oh my
But
God.
kidding, sort of. But yeah, but I got the main thing is I wanted the Maple Leaf because we have our Wednesday night poker game there, and I like to go over there. I mean, my bartender ranking, Sam's number 2. And I like to go see him. I love Sean, who owns the place, and Olivia, and I'm just more comfortable there than she is, and I'm not the Canadian, so there. But anyway, so after the show, if you can hang around, I do have some business to talk with you about that's not related to podcasts. Like I'm actually
Gotcha.
doing some other work that we might cross over on. So we'll get to that. But let's get to some football,
Yes.
and let us start with. Yeah, it is so funny. I was so wrong about this game, and so was AJ, and we both admitted to it. The one thing we said was if playoff Lamar shows up, the Ravens will lose. And guess what happened? Playoff Lamar showed up. Where was he a week ago, by the way?
I will even venture to say playoff Todd Monken showed up and was haunted by the ghost of Greg Roman, because there's no way in hell that you go into this game against the number 4 ranked pass defense and the number 28th ranked rush defense, and you throw the ball 37 times and run it 16 times. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. That doesn't compete. When you've been a running team all year and you've been in the top 5, top 10 in the league in rushing yards and in rushing attempts all season long, and then all of a sudden you decide, you know what? Fuck it. Let's drop back and throw the ball damn near 40 times a game and run it less than 20 and feed into their strings. Like that makes perfect sense.
I think there were two things that really define this game, and one was, and it's something we talked about last week. The way the Ravens play, they play man zone and they move things around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they were doing in that first half was not working, because obviously Mahomes hit 11 of his first 11, and all they're running are these skinny crossing routes and stuff in the zone. And they're throwing the ball 5 yards and turning them into 8 and 9 yard gains. And they possess the ball so much that I think, first off, it did wear the defense out a little in the second half. Not a lot, because they kept stopping them, but it kept Lamar off the field. It kept the offense off the field, and suddenly they're forcing plays, which they hadn't really done all year. And so I got to give credit to Pat Mahomes, to Andy Reid, to Travis Swift and his husband. I think that was that was really the difference in the game, is that they were able to do that. And Kansas City is not as good this year. And one of the big topics was, are they the new Patriots? It's like, well, the Patriots got to Super Bowls with teams like this too, that weren't the best in the conference, that should have never gotten there, and they did. And I mean, there is something to be said for playing winning football. There's something to be said for. In the situation, you're not going to fumble the ball on the goal line for a touchdown that's about to put you back in the game, Trey Flowers. Those are the kind of things that, and some of the coaching decisions. And I say this all the time: coaches choke too. And
Yes.
nobody ever wants to, like, but I think, Monken, what's he doing throwing the ball on 3rd and 1? And even Tony Romo, who doesn't have much to say anymore that makes any sense, is like, if you're going for it on 4th down, why are you throwing the ball there? It's just little stuff like that. And in a game that tight, it adds up. And I think in the end, the Chiefs, the Ravens, I still think they play that game 9 times as long as it's regular season. They're going to win 8 of them. But you get them in the playoffs, and it gets in their heads, and you could see it with Lamar. You could just see it get in his head again. And that's why I was so kind of hopeful the Texans would get out to a big lead last week, and then see the reaction. And then in this case, it was just this is one of the worst games I've seen the Ravens play. Maybe the worst they played all year. That Browns game where they blew the big lead was a different kind of bad, but this was just not good football from them, and they kind of blew their chance. This was their year.
It was definitely their year, and I thought everything was lining up for them, and I just knew, Lamar has the – when people were talking about the MVP and they were talking about how he's doing and Lamar should win the MVP, and I'm looking at everybody, and I'm like, at first I didn't see it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't see it. Because I was just like, how is he really impacting winning on this team? And as opposed to how other guys are impacting winning on their team. And I look back at it again towards the end of the season. I want to say it was like week 17, 18 roughly. And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? He really is the MVP. You could look at Brock Purdy and what he did, or you could look at Christian McCaffrey. You could look at, several different guys from other teams around the league. But when it came down to Lamar, he was the clear-cut MVP this season. He was, the best player in the league this season that affected the winning the most on the best team. So that's who you give it to. But when it comes for the playoffs, I've heard people compare him to James Harden, Joel Embiid, and other, notorious playoff floppers. And honestly, I put some of this on him. The fumble and the interception, of course, was on him because you don't fumble. And you don't throw it in the double, triple coverage. Yeah. However, I have to give the play calling just as equal a blame, because if you game plan this way against this team to play to their strengths, that just does, again, it just doesn't make sense for you to game plan to play to their strengths and not to your own. And your strengths are actually their weaknesses. So it makes more sense for you to play the game plan that you've played all season. And they chose not, and especially doing that coming off of Lamar not having played in almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, that they did offensively that I found really annoying was they just kept trying to go to the sideline on those short routes. And that is something the Chiefs can actually do a good job on. And I thought the Chiefs also did a good job of mixing up their defensive line to get pressure. And I've never seen Lamar sit back there for 10 seconds trying to throw the football that many times in a game. And you just can't do that. And so I think a lot of the route trees were poorly called. And all of those things add up because they're little things. But once you keep making mistakes with them, then that's less possession time. And now you're giving the ball back to a Chiefs team that was hanging on to it and running long drives too, and limiting possessions. And I think the limiting possessions could have bitten them in the ass, but the Ravens never got it together.
Yeah, the other thing that I saw that really hurt was Lamar got sacked 4 times. He only lost 17 yards on those 4 sacks, which that could have really bitten him in the ass and made it much worse. But the 8 penalties for the 95 yards, the losing the turnover battle by 3, going 3 of 11 on 3rd downs, just little things like that. And again, only rushing the ball 16 times for 81 yards. You average 5 yards a carry on those 16 carries, which tells you that you had the opportunities to do more and you just chose not to for whatever reason. All of that stuff added up. And another thing that I saw that Steve Spagnuolo did, he would use some sort of a version of the NASCAR package that he used with the Giants against the Patriots, where you just get your best 4 pass rushers on passing downs and you all pin your ears back, go meet at the quarterback. Another thing that I love that they do is that they'll move Chris Jones up and down that D line, right in, left in, nose tackle, three technique. It just depends on where they want to get the best matchup for him at. And the last few years, I've seen that they've done that much more. And the thing that has made them so good against the pass is the development of L'Jarius Sneed. Having a shutdown corner like that, and then a D line and a pass rush like they have now, and guys that can help cover, it just gives Spagnuolo much more tools to play with on that side of the ball, and much more of a variety that he can call against the run and against the pass. Now, it hasn't worked too much against the run this year, but it's worked to a T against the pass.
All right, I need to tell you about one of our sponsors, but first, B. Hannon wants to know who got Woodrow's Ito. We never really put that one in the draft because, it was always it was kind of a thing. Well, and Jermaine remembered this. We'd like go to Kobo's or something, and it's like, oh, hey, let's go to Woodrow's. And we went to Woodrow's all the time before Kobo's opened. And then once Kobo's open, and we're going to go see
walk around the corner.
Yeah, I need to get him on the show again, but he's told me she hasn't been there at all since I left, and I'm like,
who got Rodeo Goat?
You know what? We didn't put that one in there either because I don't really stay at Rodeo Goat. I go and buy my hamburger and leave.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think in the end, all she wanted was her bar, so of course I had to put that first because I don't like that place. It's just not for me. All right, so I'm going to tell you about a place. It is for me, the Phoenix on Westheimer, and best soccer bar in the city. If you're a soccer fan at all or football fan, I guess we can call it football now that football's over for the most part. Just a great place. Vu and his staff. We've got something coming up on Saturday. Which you're welcome to come do. There's going to be a fried rice contest, and guess who gets to be a judge? So yes, I'm looking forward to stuffing myself with fried rice and picking the best one. But lots of great chefs are going to be there. So that'll be Saturday. It starts at noon, and come on out, and we will have a great time. I will be there, which means I'll probably imbibe with you guys a little bit, and we could talk a little sport and just have fun doing it. It's on Westheimer, very easy to find. Were you just taking a picture of something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You better not be me. But
No.
But yeah, come on out to the
looking for work.
Phoenix on Westheimer, and great staff as always. And I love all those people, and they take great care of you. And, Vu just doesn't hire bad people. I mean, when he loses somebody, it's because they're really good and went on to something else in life. So go check it out. Phoenix on Westheimer. All right. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do this, mainly because I have to run and reload my drink. But I'll be listening. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Where do Lamar Jackson and the Ravens go from here?
Oh, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Okay, so first off, they have their first round pick, and I really think that they need to use it on a wide receiver because we see the guys that they have there just aren't getting the job done. I mean, Zay Flowers is their rookie, and he's very promising. They like to get him the ball in different aspects of the game, in the run and in the pass, just get him the ball in the open field. But after Zay Flowers, you're looking at Nelson Aguilar, Odell Beckham Jr., Mark Andrews was hurt, but he's coming back. Isaiah Likely kind of stepped up in Andrews' absence, and Rashad Bateman. So you don't really have a whole lot in the way of receivers. So I really think that if they can't find the money under the cap this offseason to go out and sign one, they need to go and draft another one in the first round yet again in order to continue to surround Lamar with the kind of weapons that he needs to succeed. Because obviously you see with the run game, you got all these guys that were injured and that they brought in, signed, or whatever. The run game is going to be the run game in Baltimore no matter what because of the way they scheme it and the line that they have. But you got to get Lamar some more weapons on the outside. You just have to.
Well, I think the Flowers they thought was going to be the answer, but I mean he's good and he had a good season, but he's not special. And they've never had a special wide receiver. I mean, going back to Steve Smith is probably the last one near the end of his career. And I thought that Hollywood Brown could be that, but he never really was. And they thought Devin Duvernay was going to be something. I watched that guy enough in college. I'm like, no, not going to happen. A couple things. Virginia Buttonweed asking how the neck is. The neck's great, man. Physically, I feel fantastic. I've been actually out running a mile every other day, which I wouldn't have thought I'd be able to do. It's only a mile, so don't make fun of me. And yes, I'm like stumbling along like an old man, but I hope to get back to 5 and 10Ks real quickly. And Half Nielsen mentions Anquan Bolden. Yeah, that's going back too. That was back when Jermaine had hair.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, you know what? I'm going to answer this question because Jermaine is a soccer buff. So I'm going to answer this real quick that Mega Mac answered. Thoughts on Jurgen leaving Liverpool?
Man, like it's been him. There's like 2 other prominent coaches that have left prominent European teams just this offseason. It's crazy because we try to talk about it a little bit on our podcast every Tuesday or Wednesday night at 8:30, Susio Sports. But we try to hit on that, and I know, like in our rundown, that's one of the things that we have to talk about tomorrow night is these prominent, soccer coaches just leaving their teams because these clubs are just. I don't know if it's. I can't really explain it, but I'm a very casual fan. But I know guys that know the league, that are deeply into it, that watch everything, and I know they would have thoughts on it. But it's just shocking that these guys will just up and be like, okay, I'm done. Especially, I want to say it was Jurgen Klopp that decided to say that he'll never coach for another team in that league. It'll be Liverpool or nothing. And since he's leaving Liverpool, he's not coaching another team in that league. He's saying that now, but I'm wondering if another team says, hey, here's a blank check and a big bag of money. Will you come back? I'm wondering if he'll change his mind.
Yeah, I bet he will. And I think look, Liverpool's still really good, but I'm starting to see some erosion in Mo Salah. And I mean, when they were at their best, he was just by far the best player out there. All right, I got to tell you about another great sponsor, Piper's Plumbing. And everybody always asks me, hey, do you know a good plumber? I'm like, no, but I know a great plumber. My man Joey B at Piper's Plumbing and his wife, they do such a great job. They're down in Nassau Bay, but they are all over the place. 832-632-2583. And guess what? One always in life is a plumber. It's always going to happen, right? Water heater, any of this stuff goes wrong, they got you covered. Your main water line. If your drain's clogged, you know what? I can't unclog a drain because I'm stupid. I'm the stupidest smart person there is. Faucets, garbage disposal, all of that. They got you taken care of. Plus, they're just great people. They do great work, and they're not people who are going to rip you off. I mean, believe me, I've had some really bad experiences with plumbers. Never again, because I'm just calling Pipers. 832-632-2583. All right, before we get it to the other game, and we'll get into some betting on that as well. How about Jerry Bono's in the house? How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for one of the greatest guys we know and one of our old buddies. And Jerry and I are going to be working together on a bunch of stuff I'm really excited about. We're going to get back to doing the kind of gambling and fun crap that we used to do before they turned that station into whatever the hell it is now. But I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm not. I wish them all the success that they could possibly have. So take that for what it's worth.
I miss Jerry, man. Jerry's a good dude.
Yeah. Well, and Jerry and I kind of lost contact for a while, and it was just so cool to reconnect. And we have some great plans, and a lot of cool stuff. I'll throw one of them out there. We're looking at getting the online poker room going again. Which would be a lot of fun. And plus, Jerry and I are going to work. He's going to help me get this podcast more monetized, and we're going to work together on some shows again, which I really miss doing shows with him. No offense to you or anybody else, but other than AJ, Jerry Bow is always my favorite fill-in for a lot of reasons. And so I'm really excited. Well, I did my last show on the Blitz. I did with Jerry.
Yep.
And it was and something I'll never forget, man. It was an emotional show, and it was really cool. But Anyway, yeah. So he's glad to see you here, brother. Thanks for tuning in, man. Anyway, and tell them one more time about your podcast, and then we'll get to the. I want to get to a little bit of basketball before we dive into the other game because we got time
Gotcha.
here. We got time. But tell them
It's
what. Yeah.
it's all part of a podcast network that some buddies of mine started, the CDB Multimedia. So if you search CDB Multimedia on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you'll pull it up, and it's actually like 4 or 5 different podcasts on the same, brand on the same network. The lead podcast is Sucio Boys, and they talk more culture, lifestyle kind of stuff. Then there's Sucio Sports with me and my buddy Keys that we do together. We mainly cover all sports. Literally, we always have something soccer or women's basketball or something like that extra on top of football, basketball, baseball that we talk about. We talk combat sports as well. So you can follow us on Twitter at Sucio, SUCIO Sports with the Z. Or you can just follow me. My at's like literally right there. I'm trying to get used to pointing like that, right there. And I'll always tweet and retweet the stuff and everything else. But there's also Aim High, a fitness and mental health podcast. There's also a mental health podcast called A Different Angle, I think is what that one's called. But we got like 4 or 5 different podcasts on the network. It's something for everybody, and we're trying to add more to it. We've even got a few sponsors and stuff. And we do have some sponsors. The next time we get a promo code for the dispensaries and the labs and the paraphernalia stuff, I have to shoot it over to you.
Hey, yeah, that sounds awesome. I like that. But no, that's good. And I'm sure you have the best podcast on there. And Jermaine's the only one that knows this, but the lady I was talking about was in the studio listening there at the beginning, so she just left. So all right. So anyway, let's. I want to move on. I want to talk a little bit about basketball real quick, and then we still have another game to get to and start talking Super Bowl. But fortunately, we have plenty of time for that. So, your thoughts on what has accomplished so far? Where do you think they can go?
I heard somebody say something. It was a tweet that I saw where somebody was actually questioning UH's defense. I don't know if it was overall or just the season, that game, or whatever. But my thing was you can't look at what Kelvin Sampson has built over the course of the years that he's been there and ever question UH's defense, because that's been their one calling card this entire time is their defense. And I mean, when you look at what they did to that Kansas State game, they held this team to 52 points. Right? Even though only shot 40%, Kansas State only shot 40%. Only shot 33% from 3, Kansas State only shot. But the biggest difference was the rebounding and the turnovers. Plus them by 10 in turnovers and plus them by 10 in rebounding. You cannot look at a team like that and say that this team does not play defense, because if their offense was that terrible, how the hell did they win by 22 points if their defense wasn't good? I just don't get it, and I don't understand. And a lot of the times I think these are people that just want to say something outrageous to get the clicks and likes and engagement, what they call engagement farming on Twitter and whatnot. But you can't look at this team and tell me that this team does not play defense. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. It's bullshit.
Well, okay. You sometimes I would do this, and they used to call me Trout when I did, but you just took the hook from some idiot. They're number one in every major metric in college basketball. And that's all fine and dandy when you were playing Stetson and the little system, the really poor. I mean, we're not talking poor, but they're having to go and process. They were putting up numbers then. Do you know how many teams have scored 70 points on them this year? Just a guess.
Let's see. I'm going to say no, but I'm about to look it up because I had their schedule pulled up just now.
Well, you're not supposed to look it up. It just you're ruining the whole spontaneous.
Well, I was gonna say no, but I wanted to be sure. But no, I didn't even get. I had a chance to look at the first 4 games on the schedule, and they didn't allow 70 points in the first 4 games. So I'll say no, they didn't. because
the only time this year anyone's come close was when they played at BYU, and BYU had 68. And BYU is a really good shooting team full of white boys. They thought it was white boy day. It wasn't white boy day. But I love that. I love that line from True Romance. I'm sorry.
yes. Yeah.
But yeah, and here's the thing, and AJ and I talk about this a lot. The Big 12 home and the Big 12 on the road are two different things. UH at home is almost unbeatable. And I mean, the stuff they did to, like, the UCF, after going in and beating Texas, comes to Houston and shoots 16%. Kansas State did nothing against them. Texas Tech doesn't have a loss in conference except when they came here and got treated like Ed Norton in the shower of American History X. I mean, that's what they do at home. The road games are where I judge these teams, right? And this is why I'm so impressed with Houston. They went into Iowa State, where Iowa State's 18-0 at home. That's a tough trip.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's not just their tough atmospheres. It ain't easy to get to Ames. It's not easy to get to Manhattan. It's not easy to get to West Virginia. These aren't your just, hey, we're going to hop on a plane and go to Dallas things. So they're two losses, both on the road. Fluke shot by TCU at the end to lose one.
Yeah, definitely.
And they lose by 4 at Iowa State in a game they had very much a chance to win. You look at every other serious contender in this conference, they've had an ass kicking somewhere. A couple at home. But, I mean, this was a big step up for UH this year. We knew that. But they are they're handling it really well. And, look, they're not going to get through this conference with 2 losses. I mean, they probably lose to Kansas because that's also a pretty good trip. And Texas isn't an easy place to play either. But I'm impressed by the fact that they haven't had a game yet where I look at and say, oh, that was horseshit. And in the tournament, and somebody, I don't know who it was on the broadcast Saturday. I mean, most of it was stupid. But the one guy did say something like, every team is Memphis in this conference. And that's really pretty close to true. I mean, you're not, when they were in the AAC, they're playing Memphis, and, then you get to go to Tulsa and places like that. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is, I mean, you and I could be out there on the team and win. So, so this is a big step up for them. I still worry that they have stretches where they can't shoot, and that's going to get them in the tournament. The defense keeps them in the game when that happens. And I worry a little bit about the size, although I still love the way that Tugler seems to get better and better every game. And I mean, the kid's 18 years old, and he still gets pushed around too much. But I would say, just looking at that arm span, the kid hasn't grown into his body yet, and he's probably got another 2 or 3 inches in him by next year. But if they can just get some solid inside play from him during the tournament, I mean, I'm not asking him to be a star, then I think this team has a real good shot.
Yeah, the other thing is that the other 2 big guys that they have on the team, Francis is a big body guy, but he's not really like a rim protector. But Lath, the guy from Ivory Coast, and McFarland from California, they're also freshmen. Lath is he looks like almost like a 5 technique and a 3-4. He's like 6'9", 270. And then you got McFarland, who's like 6'11", barely 200 pounds, soaking wet. If they could get them like a rim runner and a rim protector, it doesn't even need to be a guy that can do much more than like what a Derek Lively kind of did last year for Duke. Just kind of protect the rim, rebound, redirect some shots and whatnot. It just be a presence in the middle. If they can just have a presence in the middle, that would be great. But dealing with the size differential that they may deal with facing up some of these teams, I love the way they're able to switch and communicate on defense and also team defense, helping to clog the lane and stepping in passing lanes and whatnot. That's how they create a lot of these turnovers. And I really enjoyed the active hands. And I know that may sound cliche, but the active hands and playing those passing lanes, that kind of stuff creates deflections. It creates turnovers. It messes up the other team's shot clock if they do get the ball back. And it always makes them a little bit leery, going into the end of the first half and into the second half, like, wait a minute, these guys are playing the passing game. So now they're second guessing making those easy passes, thinking that, well, this may get intercepted or it may get tipped. And this is how you get into your opponent's heads. And this is what U of H does.
Well, I would just say one thing that I love is that kids get better as the season goes on under Kelvin. What they look like now, that unless they have more injuries, like losing Arsenault, I think hurt. But you look at a guy like Francis. Francis plays big, and Juwan Roberts is when they need him to facilitate in the post. That guy plays big, and he plays good defense, and he's hard to move. So he's not the guy that's going to jump up and block the shot and shove it back in your face. Although he's got quite a few blocks. But the main thing for them is when you get to the tournament, you've got Jamal Shed, you've got LJ Cryer. Now I was talking to, so a lot of my content comes from talking to PJ about sports. So UH doesn't have a lot of guys who create their own shot besides Shed, and I would say Roberts does in the post. Cryer is a catch and shoot guy, and that's one thing that at times that's why he gets taken away, because he can't get off the screens. But otherwise, I mean, we're splitting hairs here, man. I mean, this is a really good basketball team. All right. Well, I was supposed to have Dr. Linville on, and he's not here because he's too busy and too handsome. But hey, if you're looking to get some hair or some more beard like Jermaine did the last time he was on, and Dr. Linville, and all you have to do is go to hairspecialisthouston.com/getfalconhair, and you'll get a free consultation. And Dr. Linville will work it out with you. It'll be perfect. And for your lady friends, if they want to get stuff done, I now know of at least 4 women who have gone to Dr. Linville and had work done.
Oh, really?
And yeah. Hot Tracy, who comes on here, she shows off her boobs. Yeah, she got those from Dr. Linville. So give them a call and tell them I sent you. They will love you forever because we're all good friends over there. But Dr. Linville. Okay, before we get to the other NFL game, I do have a little team for you guys. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit today, so it's not like all sport. So I started watching Masters of the Air on Apple. Have you heard about this? It's a World War II B-17 movie, basically. And it's Tom Hanks, so it's going to have some overly maudlin, kind of boring stuff. So it started slow. I mean, he's not in it, but he's, part of it. And it's all the too much face shot time and, so much emotion and all this. And, the first episode, I'm kind of like, I don't know. But then I watched the second episode. I'm like, okay, this is, it's decent. And the third episode, I'm like, all right, it's slightly above decent. And now, of course, they dropped the first 3. And now I have to wait a week for the next one. And it's one of those I'm not sure I like it enough to wait the week because it doesn't come out till Friday. But it's not awful. But anybody who tells you, this is fantastic, yeah, they probably thought Greyhound was fantastic. So I'll just say that. And then I know you're a little behind on this, but if you didn't watch the second season of Reacher, it was amazing. I mean, just amazing. Best Reacher yet. And so finish that up, and then that's about it. There hasn't been much new to watch. I've been watching some documentaries and stuff, but nothing. It's been so sportsy, man. It's like if I'm not watching the football games, I'm watching hockey, or I'm watching, I'm sitting there watching the college basketball games. Like, so I'll have a UH game and then hockey. Still doing well in the hockey betting. So,
nice.
But yes, I haven't. The only TV I watch, because I can't sleep at night, right? So I'll get up at like 2, and I don't know if you've seen what friggin' Tubi has, but they have the worst westerns I have ever seen. It looks like you and I made these movies in your living room with a handheld, right? And then tried to CGI some cowboy stuff in. And the acting is so terrible. It really is. It's like and of course they've got, everyone has this old Southern gentleman, which, I love the Southern gentleman character, but they all talk so slow. Like, these men of Northern aggression we're going to have to deal with. Like, just get on with it. Get on with it. And I can't stop watching, mainly because I usually smoke a little before then, and I'm trying to chill. So,
hey man, Tubi movies are like Tubi movies are like those cult classics that we all used to love from the 80s, where they were just the most horrible movies, but you loved them because they
Oh,
entertained the hell out of you.
no, you know what? I would rather watch Godzilla versus Mothra than any one of these things. Okay. So, and a couple things. B. Hannah says based off Band of Brothers, right? Yeah, it is. And I just think it's too long to get started. And then once I finally get interested, I got to wait a week. And I'm like, I may not live to Friday. Are you kidding me? And then the it flips says all Tubi movies belong on the Sci-Fi Channel. Speaking of the Sci-Fi Channel, I did do this. I rewatched Firefly, which I still think is the greatest show that never got picked up for a second season. And then they finished it off with a movie called Serenity. And I just forgot how much I love that show. And I blasted through all 14 episodes one morning. So, and I have not seen the new True Detective. It probably does suck, B. Hannon, but I'll have to check it out. And yeah, and then Virginia asked, whatever happened with your movie for Jesus Just Left Chicago? The option is out. I mean, it's been out for a while. These things take way longer than I hope. And it's one of those any day now things. And, once that happens, like I was talking at the beginning, that's when I'm going to go buy me a little small RV, and Kira and I are traveling America. So, all right, let's, do I have another one I have to read before this? No, I do not. So
The only thing that I've been watching lately outside of sports and pro wrestling, I was watching The Foods That Built America again last night after the games went off. And I did not realize that the original sauced wing was not the buffalo wing. It was actually like a mambo sauce that a black guy in Buffalo created. I had no clue, none. And I didn't realize the guys that made BW3s actually invented the modern day American sports bar by accident.
Okay. So
what happened was, the reason why it's called BW3 is because it was called Buffalo Wild Wings and Weck, because the Weck sandwich was the other thing that they would serve besides the wings. Well, they weren't getting very many customers in, and they were in Columbus, Ohio. Somebody asked, hey, can you put on the Ohio State game? They put on the Ohio State game, and it dawned on them, hey, if we start playing all these games and stuff, we'll get more traffic in here. This is what these college kids want to look at while they're drinking all this beer and eating chicken wings. So it ended up that they ended up making the modern day American sports bar almost by default because they weren't getting enough traffic into their chicken wing and beer bar. And that became the association with sports bars and chicken wings. But because the black guy in Buffalo who invented the original sauce wings, his place was located near the Bills Stadium, people would go by his restaurant, buy chicken wings, and bring it to the Bills Stadium, and that began the association with chicken wings and football.
Look at Jermaine bringing us some black history here. This is awesome. But I'll just throw this out. Beef on a wick is amazing. I mean, and I never get anywhere but Buffalo. But I will always say this, and people will argue with me. Like, they always go to Anchor Bar because it was the first. Mm-hmm. I will take Duff's over Anchor Bar any day of the week in Buffalo.
And you said that before. I remember you saying that before.
Oh yeah, so I'm not lying. All right, let's get to the other game. And I had a bunch of Lions fans, and I didn't text them at halftime because I just kind of had this feeling like, I don't know if this is going to last, because it's so many times when you script the plays early, right, and you nail it just like they did, and then the other guys adjust, and then you look up and it's like, oh, and there's just one little play here or there that could have made all the difference. I really thought maybe the coach was getting a little too aggressive, and I know the players love that, but when you're in that situation, I mean, again, you learn from it, right? I think you could tell 49ers have been there before, Lions hadn't, and it's not as simple as that, but it kind of is.
And the thing is I've always been leery of Kyle Shanahan teams making adjustments, especially given the way that he's been notorious for you fall behind and you stay behind, or you get a big lead and then you allow the other team to come back, one or the other. But what really turned the momentum for me was when they got that turnover and they immediately turned that turnover into points and ended
Right.
up tying the game. And I'm just like, when I want to say it was when they made it 24-17. When they made it 24-17 is when I thought the Lions are in trouble, because it reminds me of one of those fights where first 3, maybe 4 rounds, the the boxer is winning. But then in the middle rounds, the boxer is starting to punch himself out. And now that big puncher, he's just been letting this guy wear himself out. And now he's starting to swing for the fences. And now he's connecting. And it just seemed like the Lions got hit with one too many body blows and just ran out of gas towards the end of the fight. And that just ended up doing it for them. Because once they jumped out to that 24-7 lead and they're going into halftime, I'm thinking, okay, keep the momentum going, keep your foot on their neck. And mistake here, mistake there, able to capitalize on favorable situations here and there, and it just didn't turn out favorable for them at all. And I was really surprised and shocked to see the way the 49ers were able to not only adjust, but to keep their faith and keep their momentum and come back.
Yeah, but that's a team that, and it's funny because we talked a lot about Brock Purdy, and even going back to college, Brock Purdy was a guy who I always liked. He wasn't your sexy guy, right? He wasn't your guy who was going to go out and throw for 500, but he had Breece Hall for one thing. He had one really good receiver, and he just was a guy that didn't make mistakes. And one of the things I look for in pro quarterbacks are, what was their team when they weren't there? And I think there's a lot of examples like that. For instance, and I did this whole thing way back when we were doing radio, where I took all the numbers from wins over other quarterbacks, the same system with the same coach. And it was about Jameis Winston, because, they had first round picks coming out, right? Like Sam Ponder's wife, and the kid who went to Buffalo who wasn't any good. But then Jameis Winston comes out, and while Jameis hasn't been a star, I mean, he won a national championship, and he was better than those guys. And I think when you look at Brock Purdy at Iowa State, that team hasn't been the same without him. And even though he wasn't truly the star on that offense, it was Breece Hall. And I think that translates well. And I think it's cute that he's a seventh, the Mr. Irrelevant guy. I don't think that really matters anymore. I think he's established himself as a sexier Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, not physically sexier than Jimmy Garoppolo, but as a guy who can run an offense, a guy who can not make mistakes and come up with plays when he needs to. And that's what you want out of a quarterback. You don't think the Jets would kill for that right now over, anything that they've had? And, and now sometimes it's being in the right position. Do I think Brock Purdy would be Brock Purdy in New York? Nah, not a chance. But he's in a great system, and he knows what he's doing. But even when Sam Darnold goes in, you see Sam Darnold's not as good as he is. So the guy's a solid quarterback, and I think the whole key for this, I think the 2 weeks off is going to help, because as much as everybody wants to talk about Christian McCaffrey, to me the key player on that entire offense is Deebo Samuel. And when he's in the game, he opens up everything for everybody. He makes big plays. He can turn a 5-yard gain into a 50-yard gain, and when he's explosive, that's the difference. And Brock doesn't have to be perfect with Deebo. Like Brandon Ayuk, you better hit him. I mean, he's a good receiver, but Deebo, you can miss a foot and he'll still go up and get the catch. And I think when they struggled this year, they were missing 2 players, Deebo and Trent Williams. Mm-hmm. And if they have those guys, then suddenly Christian McCaffrey's better. Suddenly George Kittle gets open. They run the ball better. And, it's hard for me to say I'm going to bet against the Chiefs here, because they just keep finding ways to beat me. This is 2 weeks in a row. But I think going in, I like the 49ers as much as I think Mahomes I think they can do some things to slow Mahomes down that the Ravens couldn't. And at some point, I just can't see, Travis Swift playing like that again.
No, the thing is the thing is like with the thing with Purdy, like I think Sarge put this on Twitter, and he said something about him being similar to Garoppolo or something like that. And I was like, well, here's the thing: why does it have to lower Purdy's like outlook by comparing him to Jimmy G and Jimmy G's limitations? Because as we saw, Purdy can get it done with his legs. I mean, when you look at what he did, he had 5 runs for 48 yards, and his longest was 21. So if you take that away, he was 4 for what, 27? That's still over 5 yards a carry, like 6 yards a carry. I'm sorry. So it's like you can't look at this guy and compare him to other quarterbacks, because just because he doesn't do it with his legs often enough doesn't mean he can't. We obviously see that he can. He just does it when it's necessary. And in that offense, what that offense requires is for the quarterback to be able to hit guys in stride with accuracy, because they're going to be pretty much open, or fit it into a window, not like a squeeze it in between 3 guys type of window, but get it into a window in which he can catch it and do something on the run with, or get him the ball in the open field, or bubble screens and different things like that, so they can make runs after the catch and make something happen after they get the ball in their hands. And that's why I totally agree with you about Debo, because I thought I was the only person who felt like that. And it's the fact that Debo can line up out wide, in the slot, tight, in the backfield, motion, in any of those areas. And he puts so much pressure on the defense because you don't know what they're going to do to get him the ball in space. With McCaffrey, McCaffrey's out. He's going to line up in the backfield, or he may line up in the slot sometimes. Every once in a while, they may motion him out wide, but you know where he's at, and you know where he's going to be when he lines up to play. Same thing with Kittle. You pretty much know where Kittle's going to line up at. With Debo, you don't know where Debo's going to line up at. So he puts way more stress and pressure on the defense than either of those other 2 stars that they have on that offense.
All right, that is some good stuff. I think we covered everything on both those games, and we'll obviously 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, so we'll dive into some other stuff, including some betting as we get a little closer. I got a bunch of prop bets and stuff, and we can do that. And I hope to have Jermaine again on before that. But I'm going to just say, make some time to come hang out in the next 2 weeks, or else I shall chastise you, sir.
No, man, we definitely got to make it happen, because life been lifing way too much on both of our ends for us not to have caught up or something like that.
But you know what? And like I said, this has been every time I think, okay, that's the last thing that can happen. Something else happens. And I'm just like,
yeah,
you know what? And I'll just say this, because I know one of the things we say on the show, no matter how bad a day you're having, somebody's having a worse one. No matter how bad a stretch I'm having, somebody's having a worse one. So it's like, fuck you, world. Throw what you want at me. I can take it, and I'm going to catch it and throw it right back in your fucking face. And then when the aliens come and take over, they're going to be on my side, and all you bitches are going to be like, oh, shit. Shouldn't have done that. But anyway, all right, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And
always.
If you had about 2 seconds to hang around after this.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll fill you in on what we're talking about. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Love all you guys. So good to see Jerry Bow in the house. And all of you, man. Nothing but love. Appreciate you so much. And I hope you guys have a great couple of days. And until Thursday, stay sportsy, Gulf Coast badasses.